Coming up on Cogeco News, we get some local reaction to a story out of Toronto involving some bad stories from long-term care facilities. This man going not just across this country, going across several countries on bikes. And yes, some top rookies from the OHL and the battalion. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Astor-Brooks. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said the province could get very serious in regards to those who operate 5 long-term care facilities that are rocked by COVID-19 in the GTA. The investigation, the Premier promises, will be coming after an armed forces report was damning on the state of the 5 facilities in the Toronto area. Meanwhile, local LTCs have fared much better in regards to COVID testing. We hear now from Castlehome CEO Jamie Lowry.
Frankly, I'm a little bit surprised at those kind of findings because I know that when inspectors come to Castlehome, sometimes there are as many as 8 inspectors. They'll spend 2 weeks here, and they comb right through the place and making sure and if there's any sort of complaints or critical incidents, they're here in no time. So, in some ways, based on our experience here, it is a bit of a surprise, but in some ways, I'm not surprised.
That would be a bit of a contradiction. So I asked Lowry exactly what he meant by, in some cases, he's not surprised.
It depends on how it's run, who runs it, what their outlook is on the care that they provide. We're obviously here as a not-for-profit and part of a district home, and our board is very conscientious about how the care is delivered. I give them reports monthly, and they certainly, I can tell you, would not stand for that kind of thing at Castlehome.
But Lowry knows it's not a perfect world in long-term care, and changes need to be made.
If I was to look at how an improvement would be made in Castlehome, for example, I think what really needs to happen is more sort of hands on deck when it comes to PSWs. I mean, they're working in there right now. It's a very stressful situation. But really the reality is the ratios, the residents here are far different than they were 10 years ago. A lot more cognitive impairments. A lot of them have more complex health issues. So, for a young person or anybody getting into the business or thinking about a career as a PSW, it is really, really hard work. And to do that, bringing in some more, we try and do the best we can with the funding. I mean, our administration here runs between 4% and 5%, so everything else goes directly to care. So, that's the outlook, but it really is heavy work. And if there was one suggestion I would make is those ratios, keep it at a 1:8, 1:9 ratio, and I think that would inspire more people and provide for better care.
Let's take care right now of the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit COVID-19 by the numbers dashboard. Only 59 tests done, which is an interesting statistic we'll be looking into shortly. 26 cases in all, 20 resolved, 1 fatality, 1 in hospital, 4 in self-isolation. Doug Ford announced yesterday that the province will be extending its emergency orders for COVID-19 until June 9th now, 12 days away. Premier Ford said the extension is necessary to keep people safe during the pandemic and to maintain progress in containing the coronavirus. So while some businesses have reopened somewhat in our region, many are still playing a painful waiting game. How much longer can that go on is one of many big questions, which means for answers, it's time for Chamber Chat again. Here's Patty Carr.
Those businesses still have to follow certain guidelines, and of course the restaurant services were allowed to be open as long as it was takeout or delivery. So businesses that you're suggesting are doing business a little differently. Of course they have to be cautious for their employees and for their clients. The retail, of course, were allowed to be open, again with precautionary measures. Some of them were not prepared to open, so they're still doing curbside pickup or delivery.
And while that is a small victory, to get to bigger victories, people have to adhere to the rules.
If we have another wave, of course, they're going to close us down again, and I don't want that to happen. If we're cautious, maybe we can do the slow openings and, of course, get back to some semblance of the normal work.
Both the federal and provincial governments have been making several announcements trying to bolster various sectors, both personal and business. Is it getting close to being where it needs to be?
They announced something different. They're tweaking those programs as well because some people were falling through the cracks. And of course, every time we hear of something new or a change to a program, we are sending out the information for our businesses. So hopefully they can take some of those programs and assist them through to get through to the future. The governments had to step up. There was no choice, really. It's a world pandemic, and they did have to step up. And, you know, the deficits are going to be what they are. They needed to help these businesses. They pay taxes too, get the economy back up running and have people back working. You know what? If they had to all close down and stay closed down, that would have been a bit bigger problem for the government.
Carr wanted to make a shout out to some local business who are not getting the recognition she believes they deserve in regards to manufacturing PPE and also helping with disinfectant products.
All the different sites that we're seeing from the government are not showing that we actually have local suppliers of PPE and other, whether it's safety or cleaning products, and we're very proud to have put out a great list and continue to add to it every day of different businesses that have PPE, talking about places like Pure North Medical, which is actually part of New Ontario Brewery, so you can actually order it online and have it delivered to your business, or and maybe some beer with that. Also, we have Motion Canada that has a number of different products that they can acquire. Places like Small Lip Battery or Vested Interest with the masks that are non-surgical masks. So many that we have on that list that we're really proud of. They can get these supplies locally.
A Grimsby native plans on wheeling all over North and South America, pandemic or no pandemic, over the course of a 3-year ride. Ari Hoogerbrug will amass, get this, 55,000 kilometers. He's enjoying a multi-day rest in Bonfield before heading out towards Winnipeg later on this week. He met with Clark on Wednesday.
You have to see it to believe it, and when you see it, it's hard to believe. 55,000 kilometers on a bike over 3 years.
It was originally inspired from my first ride in 2011. It was such an amazing experience that I just knew I had to take it to the next level.
And you took it beyond the next level, 55,000 kilometers. Tell us a synopsis of where you started and where you're going to end.
I started St. John's, Newfoundland, November 12th, and I'm basically headed west across Canada to the Dempster Highway, and then south to Vancouver, and then zigzag my way to the bottom of Argentina, going through 24 different countries. Well, 23 countries plus the island of Trinidad is my plan, so 24 countries in total.
Do you have your passport?
Yes, I have my passport. Yes, I do.
What obstacles have you faced so far?
Well, the biggest obstacle is definitely COVID-19. That set me in Kingston for stopped me for 60 days in Kingston, March 19th to May 19th. Beyond that, I would not necessarily say I've really had any obstacles. I thought it would initially be a pretty miserable ride through the winter. Ended up being an amazing experience. Best time, people kept coming to me and saying, like, this is not the time to start a ride. And I would actually tell, it's like, no, actually, this is the most amazing time to start the ride, just with the local interactions. So in many ways, other than just sort of minor issues, I really had no obstacles until COVID-19 hit. And then who knows what the future holds.
Many people say Canada has the most caring and generous citizens, so you're going to put that to the test. You're going to see 24 different countries. How kind have Canadians been to you so far?
Oh, I could go on for hours. When it comes to Atlantic Canada, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia in particular, it was daily occurrences. 80% of my evenings, 90% of my nights were in a stranger's bed that I had no expectation or no anticipation of. People were stopping all day long, handing me $10 here, $20 there. Virtually everywhere I went in Atlantic Canada through social media, someone, like they're like, "You're that guy, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm that guy." So Atlantic Canada was beyond generous, beyond more than I could ever have imagined.
No, I mean this with all due respect in the nicest way. You look like an average guy. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not an Olympian. So how are you able to tackle 55,000 kilometers?
Well, that's the thing is when I started November 12th, like I took the ferry from Sydney, Nova Scotia to Newfoundland. My parents dropped me off. We got a U-Haul trailer. I loaded my bike. They are standing behind me with their camera or their phone to take a photo and wave goodbye, good luck on, I load my bike. It is so heavy that in my head I'm going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I was too scared to get on my bike in front of anyone. It was that heavy. I was bike and gear. I was 185 pounds.
That's not.
I pushed my bike to the terminal door. They gave me instructions of follow the chain link fence through security and you go into lane 3. I pushed my bike the whole way. I pushed my bike on the ferry. I pushed my bike off the ferry because there was no way I was going to let anyone see me get on this bike and fall on my butt. So when it comes to, but then fast forward 2.5 weeks later, I pedaled 98 kilometers back to the ferry. So I didn't do any training. You just 1 kilometer at a time.
I could have talked to Hugebrug for hours. However, my interview was about 10 minutes long. You can catch much more on Thursday's edition of the newscast.
I think Clark did talk to him for hours and hours. Much more when we come back on this Wild Wednesday. Welcome back, everybody. For many years, Garrett Ratch was one of Cogeco's, Your TV North Bay's best volunteers. Now Garrett Ratch has branched out into writing. He has written his first book, a children's adventure book, and Clark has his story on The Story.
This book stars an 8-year-old girl named Becky as she discovers a ring she got for her birthday leads her to a magical place called the Secret Grotto. There she'll meet up with various different people and animals and even encounter evil creatures called nightmares.
Where did you come up with this idea?
Well, it just sort of happened. The first thing I thought of was Becky herself and wanted to do a story about her and sort of a fantasy one, and then the Secret Grotto came and soon many different things came along, and that's what led to the elements of the book.
What age category would you recommend for parents to buy this for?
If I had to pick an age, it would be 6 to 11, but I would encourage basically anyone to read this book, no matter how old you are. You might like it. It could surprise you.
You've been working on this for a while. This is a major passion of yours. Where did this develop?
Just sat at my computer and typed it up, and since then, I've been working on it and many other stories. And after I completed this one, I tried to get it published through various publishers, but I couldn't. But none of them seemed to be interested, nor could I find too many answers. So after a while, I thought to try self-publishing through Amazon instead.
And that's just what he did. You can get it on Kindle for just over $4. You can also get a hard copy paperback starting as low as $8.68.
We're getting a little snaky for Wild Wednesday. It's the last Wednesday of the month of May. Well, actually, Clark dealing with a big snake on this day. We head to Bondfield at the Reptile Adventure Camp. Here's Clark, the big anaconda, and Steve Featherstone, too.
A yellow anaconda. We're social distancing, and that's a good thing for my safety, I think.
Yeah, this guy's actually pretty good. Historically, I've dealt with quite a few of these guys through rescues. People unfortunately buy them when they're super young and super cute, and eventually they get too big, and people deem these guys a little bit too aggressive. I don't think they're aggressive. I just think they're just a little bit shy and more reclusive. They don't tolerate a whole lot of handling. But this guy's actually been really good for us. We've only had him about a month. We've only had him out a few times, and every time he actually surprises me with how gentle he is for this species.
Typical snakes eat rodents whole and other living creatures whole. What about this guy?
Yeah, this guy's a professional constrictor, right? So he'll constrict, but he'll also bring prey into the water as well and use that as an advantage. So he hunts mostly aquatic or at least semi-aquatic animals, a lot of turtles, tons of fish. He'll even take like frogs and eggs and small things like that. But once these guys get big, they'll even eat like brocket deer or small capybara. Even caimans and small crocodiles. These guys will take almost anything.
How do they digest the turtle shell? Is there a stomach acid?
Super strong stomach acids, yeah. And when these guys eat massive meals like that, they'll go a long time without eating. So some smaller snakes are quicker digestion. They'll eat, once a week or once every couple weeks. These guys tend to kind of eat giant meals and then hide out in very shallow water. They don't really come out on land too much. Hiding away with vegetation, and they'll just wait for that meal to digest until they're hungry again.
And how rewarding is it to have such a wild creature in very humane captivity?
Yeah, these guys are awesome. I really like anacondas. I've dealt with them a fair bit, and we used to have a really big green anaconda that we use for a lot of shows. Anything that we bring in that's a rescue situation, if it can make a good pet and a safe pet for people, we tend to make sure that their health is really well established and that they're a docile animal, and we try and rehome them. These obviously aren't pets. These are very large animals, can be unpredictable, and it takes a very specific quality of care for them.
What's the status of the reptile camp right now with COVID? We're getting in the right direction, I think.
We're waiting in the wings. We haven't done any shows or presentations since the start of March. We've had a lot of cancellations for our outreach programs, and for our day camps, we're just kind of waiting. I know Ford announced that we're going to be able to do some day camps this year. There's going to be some different parameters, so we're still waiting on to see what that's going to look like. But no residential camps are going to be allowed to operate this summer. So unfortunately, the following that we have from kids in Hamilton that utilize our program still won't be allowed to attend this camp this year in that fashion unless they're staying locally and commuting in each day.
Lastly, your new digs for your reptiles really coming along nicely.
We're getting close. We're working hard. We got stuff going on every day, and our camps are set to go July and August, and we'll be done by then. So we're burning the candles at both ends, but we'll get there.
Now, I probably should ask this question at the start of the interview. When's the last time this guy ate?
He ate last week. He ate actually a small rabbit and 2 very large rats, all frozen, obviously. So these guys, even though it's frozen, they don't understand that. So they still bite, they still constrict, they still hang on, just like it would be in the wild. They don't want that very fast-moving prey to get away. It's too much work to find something else, and once they're pretty confident that animal has passed away, that's when they'll swallow it.
And how do people connect with you to discuss shows once they are available to proceed?
Facebook's our preferred. We're pretty active on there. It always shows us what we're doing, and we respond to messages pretty quickly there.
Segue alert. Speaking of Facebook, Steve Featherstone gave me the vote of confidence after I posted this video to Facebook. I saw this snapping turtle having trouble getting up a curb at the south end of Callender. All ended well after I kept my fingers clear of the path the turtle could snap. Reporting for Cogeco News, I'm Clark Heupel. Back to Greg at the news desk.
What a great human being he is, isn't he? Apparently, I'm going to get smoked again in weather from Clark. Weather after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heupel here next to the Amelia Park Ball Diamond. I'm here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Here to deliver the forecast for Phoenix North. Now I present to you a small series during the weather forecast over the coming weeks. Streets you didn't know existed. Right now I'm standing on Bunyan Street. Certainly don't have to worry about traffic. I'm standing right in the middle of it, likely breaking a bylaw. However, no heavy traffic on this day. So the next time someone says, meet me at the intersection of Queen and Bunyan, now you know. And I certainly know you know it is extremely hot out. I've been dabbing my head all day, keeping it sweat-free, staying cool. As the temperature has cracked the 30-degree mark, the two most widely used weather stations for North Bay Environment Canada and Weather Network has stated we have passed 30 degrees. Another weather station not as widely used said 38. Their thermometer might be broken. I have been in 35 to 40 degree temperatures. It's not that hot right now. It is hot, but not quite 38 degrees. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast as we're going to have a cooling trend after this heat wave. Heading overnight on this Wednesday night, a warm low of 19 degrees, partly cloudy skies. On Thursday, the 28th of May, still hot, 26 for the high, 31 with the humidex, sun and cloud, risk of showers, risk of a thunderstorm as well. And Thursday night, the low of 16 moves in with rain. Friday stays wet, high 22 as we cool off, and rain on Friday night, low of 10. The weekend now, Saturday, clouds 70% chance of showers, high 12, low 4. And Sunday, sunny yet cooler at 14 and 5. Turning the page back to the almanac in Phoenix North. On Tuesday, we passed 30 degrees. It was 30.3 to be exact. And 16.8, we're going to round up. 17 was the low. The normals for this time of May, 21 and 8. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. Do stay tuned. My best buddy, Greg Esterbrook, will have your sportscast right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Mercifully, Clark Heupel not part of this segment. A couple of youngsters on the battalion that they're going to be building around got some honors over the past few days. OHL GMs voted in a couple of stages, the first within their conference, then on a league-wide basis. And when it comes to rookie teams, second team, mind you, but still, it's nice to see some rookies get some recognition. Paul Christopoulos, who played against all the big players on other teams, ended up on the second All-Star team, and Joe Verbetic, who got better as the year went along. Bit of a dip in the middle, but he played well at the end, and the battalion have a couple guys to build around. Whenever hockey starts in 2020, 2021, no one knows for sure at this point. That is it for news, weather, sports, and the odd shot here on Wednesday's edition of Cogeco News. We'll be back with more fun, frivolity, and news on Thursday, live at 5. We'll see you then.